Hi, welcome to SBR Sports Picks. I'm Peter Loshak. He's Drew Martin. This is the early week MLB series preview that we do every usually on Mondays. We're doing it on Tuesday because we had to push yesterday's show back. But Drew Martin, of course, this is also a show where I update my record for my official picks in the Monday in the 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time shows that I do every weekday. And let's throw that record up there because, thank the Lord, I am still positive. After yesterday, I had 2 winners. Now I'm still there. I'm up, a couple units. Yeah, up a couple units, up a couple percentage points in ROI, and that is all. That I need to feel okay going forward. In these videos, as long as I'm not embarrassing myself. Although it'd be awesome to have just some kick-ass record and then have people like commenting and all that stuff. That'd be awesome. But hasn't been that way yet. Although I do feel like I have a somewhat good read on baseball in general right now, and if I had just blindly bet Colorado every day, I'd probably be significantly up because they are #1 in the ROI standings right now in MLB, and they have a series coming up against Minnesota. I know talking to you earlier before the season started, you said you were high on Colorado. You asked me if I was high on Colorado. You were talking about them. I said I was, but you were specific. You were particularly high on them. What's your take on Colorado going forward?
Pete, I'm looking to bet on them in Colorado, and they may have some regression, but their bullpen has been money. Yes. So you got to follow these hot bullpens, and that's what I'm going to look to do. Absolutely.
They're also the top team on the road in baseball at almost 50% ROI on the road, and Minnesota's actually has a double-digit negative ROI at home. They've struggled at home. So as you know, I was actually not as down on Minnesota recently as I think you were talking about. You might be down on Minnesota recently, but in this series, I think I might be liking Colorado here.
Yeah, me too. I mean, when you look at that Minnesota lineup, they got Sano, and then outside of that, not everybody's hitting that well. Right. So I feel like, especially against the veteran pitchers in Major League Baseball, I'm going to look to fade Minnesota because I think they can work around the Minnesota lineup.
Yeah, and I did give Colorado today on Tuesday as one of my official picks, full game plus 108 and the second half. So hopefully that turns out to be accurate. Let's see. But yeah, Colorado is now officially the #1 team in baseball. They took that out in terms of the money standings. They took that over that spot from Baltimore.
So you got Freeland going today?
Yes, Freeland going today, which is that's why I also took him on the second half. But on the other side, you have Hughes, and he can get and he can certainly get lit up. Then another interesting series. Tell me what you think about this, Drew Martin. Washington at Pittsburgh. Washington again, not one of the top 5 teams in ROI, but they still have a plus 11% ROI as of right now. Pittsburgh been sluggish, minus 8% ROI, and Pittsburgh, of course, has been a significantly subpar in May. Do you think that I admit that on Tuesday I already gave Strasburg Washington -1 as one of my official picks. Do you think that Washington might have some value even though they're going to be a big favorite in this series?
Yeah, this was actually one of the ones that caught my eye. I mean, this number kind of stands out at me. At Bookmakers got Washington -140 for the series.
Really?
And tonight, Strasburg versus Cole, as you know. Also, a to be announced tomorrow versus Garrett Cole.
Yeah, I'm seeing on CBS here that it's Joe Ross, and Joe Ross,
okay.
Who obviously has potential.
Yeah,
struggled early this year, but could easily figure it out and become an elite starter.
Okay, nice. Yeah. And then we got Rourke versus Glasnow. I like Tanner Rourke. Wow. I think that he's undervalued in the markets a lot. So, I mean, at -140, that caught my eye enough to jump on it. So, I'm on Washington.
I'm agreeing with you. I mean, even if they just win the Rourke and Strasburg starts, which I think we'll see what the line is for the Rourke, because I've been, as my regular viewers know, I've been fading Glasnow for most of the season more successfully than not. And
how'd you pick up on that, by the way?
Glasnow?
Yeah.
He just had control issues. When you have a youngster who's having control issues like that, you really want to assume that they're going to continue until further notice, basically.
Yeah, no, that was a great get. And obviously you're getting some units off it.
Yeah.
I dug into him, and
do you remember when I said that about him? Or not really?
I don't.
Okay.
No, not to, I mean, I believe you
trust
but
me. Yeah.
because he's kind of more of a top prospect, kind of more of a high ceiling guy.
Oh, he absolutely.
And so I didn't know which way to go on him, but I haven't been involved much in Glass.
Oh, I mean, if he's an elite starter in 2 or 3 years, that will not shock me in the slightest. He's also one of these really tall guys, similar to that guy Adam Meyer on the Angels, similar to like Randy Johnson was, and Chris Young, remember? And all those guys tend to have control issues. Remember in Chris Young's early career, you remember him, right?
Yeah.
Princeton, 6'10" or whatever it was.
From Ivy League school. Yeah.
And he'd have these starts where he'd give up like 7 walks and 1 hit. And you see a lot of stuff like that because it's just hard to, the mechanics can be tougher with one of these, and Glasnow is one of those guys. So yeah, the point is that that even if he does have a good start, which would not be out of the realm of possibilities, easily Rourke could keep up with him, and then Washington pulls away late. So I'm agreeing with you. I'm on Washington this series in general, and I'm specifically on them tonight. With
you can get a minus 140 at bookmaker. Okay, so tonight Strasburg versus Kuehl. I took that
one. I took that one -1. All right, what series would you like to bring to our attention, Drew Martin?
All right, I got one for you. It might open your eyes here.
Oh, really? Okay.
Series price at bookmaker plus 230 on the Cincinnati Reds.
Oh, nice. 230, really?
Plus 230 right now. We got Arroyo versus Lackey.
Sure.
I mean, we're up against it there, although Arroyo pitched well a few weeks ago against Chicago, held them to 2 runs. I don't mind that. Then we got Feldman versus Hendricks. We know Hendricks has had issues.
Right.
And then the last game, which I think is the kicker, Bonilla, the young kid from the Dominican kid. I believe he's like 24 years old. He had a good first start. I like this kid. We could buy low on him right now. Versus Eddie Butler, who's pitched well, but Eddie Butler, coming from Colorado, I've always kind of been against this guy. He throws hard, but it's really straight. I think that Cincinnati can have some.
I'm actually seeing John Lester listed here, both at Yahoo and CBS.
Okay.
But that might be, but no. Okay, so go on. You're saying it's a good information for Eddie Butler anyway, if people want to, if he starts. I'm just telling you what I'm seeing. Lester on Thursday against Bonilla.
Okay.
Still,
I handicapped it on as Butler,
right.
We'll see what happens.
Still, 220 shocks me because the Cubs are not only are they underachieving and have been overvalued, but they've been particularly so at home. Almost minus 30% ROI at home. That's 3rd worst in the majors. Drew Martin. The Cubs have the 3rd worst ROI. The Cubs were the 3rd best team to fade at home in the majors up till yesterday.
Yeah, and we're diversifying here, getting 3 games plus 230 over $2 now with a pretty good bullpen too with Cincinnati.
Sure, absolutely. And Cincinnati's still top 10 on their own in the ROI standings. A nice positive return so far. So wow, I'm surprised to hear that line of 230. I'm agreeing with you. There's probably value there. All right, let's see what else has caught your eye, if anything, and then I'll bring some up some myself.
Okay, let's see. We got. You want to take another shot with a big dog?
Yeah.
Philadelphia plus 190 at Texas. Grabbed a little bit of this. Eichhoff versus Darvish. We're up against it there. But the next 2 games, we got Zach Eflin versus Cashner. I don't mind that, especially getting $2.
Right.
And then coming back the last day, Martin Perez. He's been all right. I've actually been on and off of him. But Nick Pivetta, he's a guy that has a high upside, a younger guy. I think he's another guy we can buy low on. So getting close to $2, I don't mind taking a shot with Philadelphia.
Yeah, that sounds good. The only thing worthy of note is that Philly has been particularly bad on the road. Texas been particularly good at home, but again, that's easily due to most or all variance. A very modest sample size with that. Philly's also been bad in May. Texas been good, again, tiny sample size. You might have something there that might be good with a very small with a healthy road underdog line there. All right, let's see what else is interesting from the upcoming series. Let's see. Let me see.
Hey, Pete, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Okay, New York Yankees versus Kansas City Royals.
That's what I was going to bring up, yeah.
Okay, were you? I have a question on series pricing because I know you know a lot about this.
Yeah.
New York's price minus 125 at bookmaker right now for the series. But I read 2 pitchers to be determined. So how do you think that they throw that in with AA and AAA pitchers? That seems like a really hard thing to handicap. Something we may be able to get an advantage of.
It is. They hang their prices based on what's recommended by Vegas, and Vegas will sometimes throw out series prices even if there are uncertainties with. There's always last minute pitching changes in every. Not always, but very often, and they'll throw out series prices even with uncertainties and just do the best they can with estimating where the price should be. Hang the 20-cent juice and hope they don't keep the limits low. That's another thing they do. The limits on series prices are obviously. It's a prop bet, so the limits are a lot lower than with the sharper markets. And series prices are a great way to bet baseball for a smaller dollar better.
Yeah,
because any of those props are the limits are low because they're beatable. So if you can beat them and you're not and the limits are not what your average bet size is, It's one of the best ways to bet baseball. So the Yankees at minus 125. That sounds. Now I did. If you remember in our last show, I did have a good a read on the KC Baltimore series.
I do remember that.
Yep. Oh, you do remember that? Yeah.
Props to you.
KC. This one though, I'm not. I'm leaning Yankees here at minus 125. I think I might take him. You got Sabathia, who's garbage, against Hamill, who's garbage, and then on Wednesday, what's the Pineda's great. And then Vargas.
Yeah.
What's your take on Vargas?
I like the fastball changeup, guys, Pete. I'm not going to lie. Coming from the left side against New York, I don't mind that either. But I doubt I get there in this one.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm gonna hold off.
You think you're going to pass on that game?
I'm going to pass on that game and pass on this series. I don't know.
Oh, really? Okay. Because I'm thinking that Vargas might be for real, and if he is, that might be a great shot with an under on that game.
On first
under.
5 under? Because then you got to trust Kansas City's
bullpen. That's true.
Which is always
That's true.
But
then
issue.
you're also getting the Yankees bullpen, which is nice, even with all right. So all right, let's see what else has caught my eye. Oh, and then this series, I guess we'll just talk about it because we do have one of the top teams in baseball, Houston, against the now officially dead last team in ROI, Miami, minus 25%. Officially the worst team in baseball in terms of ROI. It's been even more pronounced in May. Houston's been number 1 in May. Miami's been even more awful in May than they were than they have been overall in the season. People were asking about the game tonight with Keuchel starting as a big road favorite against Kohler. Obviously, it's a no-brainer play on Houston from a certain perspective. What's your take on Houston and/or Miami in general right now?
I mean, it's just surprising to me to see Miami is doing as bad as they have. As far as tonight goes,
yeah, it is a little surprising, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. I thought that they would do a lot better, especially their lineup 1 through 7. It's actually not bad for an NL lineup. Right. You got talent all the way down at the 5, 6, 7 spots, but. As far as tonight goes, I mean, Keuchel, I think he's priced about right. I mean, minus 180 on the road. I don't know how you get involved with this. I'm not really interested in laying run lines. It's just my kind of not my cup of tea, so I'm going to lay off. Yeah,
those are basically my thoughts exactly. If this had been around minus 140 or 150, I probably would have taken a shot with Houston. And I'm also, I am expecting Miami to improve significantly. I mean, there's only one way to go now. They can only go up, but I am expecting them to improve significantly going forward. I mean, they're like at San Diego, San Francisco level of utility, which is surprising to me.
Yeah, so you're viewing a little positive regression then.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean,
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, so those are some series that are interesting. Let's go to let's see. Let's see on Wednesday. Man, the Tigers hit righties well, and then Ubaldo Jimenez. I think he might be vulnerable. He's a guy who, as I said, about 25% of the time gives you an unexpected 7-inning start. That's quality, and the other 3/4 of the time he's getting crushed to super crushed. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, going against Fulmer. So
yeah, exactly.
What you're thinking about jumping on Detroit?
Yeah, jumping on Detroit team total over, or I mean, we'll see what the line is. I have a sneaking suspicion it might not be that high. We might actually see something like 140, 160, something like that.
Yeah, Baltimore's been an interesting team. How they've been priced. That might be one to jump on the overnights.
Right. We'll see.
I do like Fulmer,
but I've definitely got my eye out for it. Now, if it's 220, no, obviously, but I don't see that happening here, and I think Jimenez might get hit. And then here we go. This is interesting to talk about, and also could be potentially profitable. Matt Harvey starting for the Mets. 3 straight terrible starts. You remember when we talked about his last start? I said, no, this guy's going to get hit again. Now he's going on the road at Arizona. Pollock being out for Arizona is not great. He'll be out for this game, but still, this is a tough assignment for Harvey. Harvey might be we might be throwing Harvey, at least temporarily, into the whole Pelfrey, Cologne, Jared Weaver group. You know what I'm saying? I'm not kidding, Drew Martin. I'm not kidding.
I haven't dug into his velocity, but if it was up last game, I know this sounds crazy, I might look to go back him.
Really?
I don't know why. I just, the extra rest with his arm issues, kind of the same thing. I know I took it on the chin last time, but I have to dig into his velocity. I mean,
all right. Okay, well, I'm telling you, man, I'm going to be looking really hard at fading him one way or another, or maybe 2 or 3 different ways on Wednesday. We'll see again what the lines are and how it all comes out. And in the morning show tomorrow, of course, I will address that. But man, I'm telling you, man, he's off. He's gonna be given a leave of absence at some point, and maybe when he comes back, he'll be better.
Okay,
but he's gonna be out of the rotation.
All right, I'll take your word for that, man. I don't feel that strongly. With
and then let's talk about Irvin Santana. Right, regression is probably coming. 2 starts ago, he had regrets. Last start was good though, and now he's going to be at home against Colorado. Colorado, who knows what this line will be, because Santana's year-long numbers are good, even if we're expecting regression. Colorado might actually be a decent-sized dog here.
Yeah, and Marquez, I believe he went 6 or 7 innings versus
His last
the Cubs.
start was great. great.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he pitched very well. So, yeah, it'd be Colorado or pass for me. I'm not going to lay it with Santana.
We'll see what that line is. All right. And then the other thing that is worth noting is it's always interesting to note phenoms who are like bouncing back and forth the majors, like Julio Urias, and on Thursday, Berrios, this guy for Cleveland.
I like Berrios a lot, Pete.
Ton of potential, and he went down to, obviously he's had some rough stretches in the majors, but he went down to the minors, put up great numbers, supposedly was good, came back up to the majors. First start back was good. What do you think? He might be a play on going forward?
Absolutely. I mean, a Puerto Rican kid throws hard, has good control this year. I think he struggled a little bit last year. I was on the wrong side because I kind of bought into the potential. But like you said, some of these kids, they go down to the minors, they regroup. It's almost like a quarterback coming out watching from the sideline. They come back in, and they play a lot better up to their potential. So I would look to bet on Berrios going forward.
Also on Thursday, we already talked about it once, but I'll identify it again. The Washington game, Rourke against Glasnow. We'll see what the line is. If it's Washington minus 340, no, I'm not going to take it. But if it's something modest, I'll probably be on Washington. And then Edinson Volquez, I like to brag when I get things right, and I've gotten things right in baseball more often than not this year, but Volquez's last start, I was fading him, and he had a good start. All props to Edinson Volquez, but I'm not a buyer in him long term. I think he's going to get hit hard going forward, and it might happen on Thursday at the Dodgers. What do you think?
Absolutely. I mean, I've seen him pitch twice, and he was missing the strike zone all over. He's kind of like a head case. I'm not looking to back him at all.
Yeah. Now the only issue is he's going up against Ryu, who was dealing with a hip injury, and people were asking me about what I thought about Ryu, because earlier in the year I said that I expect him to be better, but then when his hip injury came up, I said that I expect to have a bad start in his last start, which did happen. It was at Coors, so it was,
Actually, those two are both fade candidates for me. I'd be looking over in that one.
I'm thinking that I'm going to do some more research on Ryu, because if his hip is okay long term, I think he's going to be good. So we'll see what the line is. But I'm definitely looking to fade Volquez and maybe not Ryu. So if it's a relatively modest line, I'll definitely be looking at the Dodgers in that one on Thursday against Miami.
Okay. All right. I'd probably look over, but I wouldn't talk you off of that.
Thinking about the over as well, it's just like I said, the over as well. It's just like I said, Ryu is someone who I do think he's going to return back to some of his former quality performances once he gets healthy.
Okay.
Right? All right. And so I guess we can wrap it up, unless there's anything else you want to bring up that's caught your eye, Drew Martin.
No, I think we're good. We touched on a lot.
All right.
Gave out two big underdogs.
Prices, yes.
So,
I like your leans and your general analysis on these underdog series lines. I think you're absolutely right, and I think if you bet, what were the two you gave? You gave Philly as a big dog and Cincinnati?
Cincinnati and Philly, yeah.
Yeah, I think that if you bet both of those, probably one of them, more likely than not, one of them wins, and then you have a little casher.
Hopefully.
All right, yes. Drew Martin, thanks so much, and we'll be back on Thursday for the weekend series coming up this weekend.
Thank you, Pete. Thanks for watching, guys.
Well, this episode of The Odds Couple is over. But if you give us a like and click SBR's logo at the bottom of the screen to subscribe, then you'll get all the upcoming videos as soon as they come out. And don't forget to take advantage of our website. There's free picks, live betting lines, and sportsbook reviews and ratings guides, and a whole lot more. Check it out now.